Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in. Hey mamas, we're here for the final episode of the Balanced Working Mama podcast for season 3. Not the final, because y'all know we're going to be back, but it is the final episode for season 3. So let's just round of applause for all of the amazing people that have been on season 3 and the things that we've talked about this season. I think this has been a really dope season. 3 seasons of the podcast is an accomplishment. And I'm excited for us to be rounding out another season, but then also excited to share that we will be back on Monday, April 5th for season 4. So you might be thinking to yourself, but Amber, you're going to have a baby. What do you mean? No worries, because you know me, I plan ahead. And so a lot of season 4 will be pre-recorded. We do have 5 special guests for season 4, but then I think the part that I'm most excited about is that season 4 of the podcast is going to be very, how do I say, I can't think of the words right now. Basically, I'm going to have a baby at that time. So a lot of it'll be me checking in with you about how me and baby girl and the family are adjusting. So I hope that you all are willing and excited to hear more about that, because that's what I anticipate season 4 will be. Every other week we'll have either an interview with someone in the Balanced Working Mama community that has come to share something with us, or it'll be me briefly checking in with you about how life is going with a new baby and a toddler and a husband and a business and a job, all those things. So that'll be exciting. I think that'll be really cool. But I'll definitely be sharing a lot in season 4 about my postpartum experience, new things that I'm learning with baby girl, and how my son is doing with being a big brother, and just all the things. So stay tuned, stay subscribed. Please share this podcast with another mama that you know. Invite her to join the Balanced Working Mama community, because y'all, we want more working moms, millennial moms, to take part in what we're doing. We have got so much going on. By the time that you listen to this, we would have just finalized the retreat. And I know it's going to be so amazing. But then also, we've got our next Empower Wellness program coming up in July. And that actually is what we'll be talking about on this episode today. So I'm excited to have some of my Empower Wellness mamas who just graduated from our January program to join us on the podcast today. They're going to be sharing about their experience in the Empower Wellness program, how they're doing, what they loved most about it, but then also why you should join as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It is going to be jam-packed with just so much wisdom from the mamas, because as y'all know, I'm always proud of all my mamas, but especially these January mamas, because they really showed up and showed out. Like I tell you, every season of the Empower Wellness program, it gets better and better and better. And that was definitely the case for this one as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you enjoy the season finale of season 3, Balanced Working Mama podcast. Please stay tuned, because we will be back on Monday, April 5th, to start season 4. Otherwise, stay tuned and enjoy this episode today. Hey mama, Balanced Working Mama is growing. I want to make sure that you stay connected and up to date with everything happening over here. So you don't miss any of the good stuff, head over to balancedworkingmama.com, sign up for the newsletter. You'll always be the first to learn of any new podcast episodes, events, programs, and you'll get a hello from me every now and then. So sign up today, mama, because I want to connect with you soon. Hey everyone. So we have a few of our Empower Wellness Mamas on the podcast today. So I am so excited because they have graduated from our January program and they are doing well, but I'm really happy that they agreed to come on the podcast and talk about their experience of the Empower Wellness program a little bit with us. So first, I just want to have you all share with us who are you, what you do for a living, how many kids you have, how long you've been a mama, things like that. Just let us know a little bit about who you are.
I'll start. My name is Raven Smith. I'm a business analyst for the Centers of Medicaid and Medicare Services out of Maryland. I have 3 children, 2 boys. My oldest will be 4 in less than 2 weeks, and then the baby is 1. And then I have a 7-year-old stepdaughter.
Hey ladies, my name is Joni Hayes. I am from Charleston, South Carolina, and I am a clinical research coordinator. I am a sister mama. I have a 9-year-old little sister, Virginia, and she's been living with me. I've been raising her since our father passed about 3.5 years ago.
And again, I'll just say I love the diversity and experiences that the Empower Wellness program brings. Like we have seasoned mamas, we have younger mamas, we have sister mamas. Like it, I love the experiences and the diversity. So thank you for being here, Joni. And then lastly, we got Christina.
Hi guys, my name is Christina. I'm in social work right now. I'm working for a healthcare company, and I have 3 sons. My oldest is 21, so I've been doing it for 21 years. And uh, yeah, that's that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Christina. So I already have so many good things to say about you all, but I'm gonna like wait and hold off because again, I want to hear you all's experience. But the very first thing I would love for you all to talk about is just what made you even to decide to join the Empower Wellness program. Because, a lot of moms, what I hear is like, they see it on Instagram or they've heard someone else do it, and there's always something for any decision that we make. It's like when you first see it, but then actually making the decision to do something like this, there's like this process in between. And so I wanted to hear from you all what actually made you decide to join the Empower Wellness program, and how did you even know that you needed it?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kimberly Leonard, and I am an attorney and a defense attorney, criminal defense attorney. I have 2 beautiful boys. Kingsley, he's 4. He'll be 5 soon. And then I have Cairo, who is 1 year old. And I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
For me, I want to say I started with a podcast as well. I think I found your podcast before I found your Instagram page. And I had listened to the mamas from one of the seasons had talked like this podcast. And then I ended up finding your Instagram, and I just was tired of being tired. I went back and forth a while actually before I even reaching out to you. And then when you reached out to me, I was like, oh, this is actually really what I need. Like this, I need the change. I need the accountability. I just need something different because what I'm doing isn't working.
Tired of being tired. I get that.
I had to say amen to that part.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Go ahead, Kim.
Well, for me, I found your Instagram page first through a friend that reposted you. And I was just like, this sounds really interesting. And then so I listened to your podcast, and I was just like, she is validating everything that I'm feeling right now. And so the assessment was what I wanted to take first to see if that would help me. And of course, with scheduling, it was just so hectic. And I tried to get into the class, and then the class was full. And I was so disappointed. He was like, it's okay. Next time, we'll get you next round. And as soon as the next session opened, I was like, I have to get in here because I need that help. I need that accountability, and I need something, a goal mark to hit, because that's how my mindset is. Like once I have a goal or somewhere that I can reach and obtain to see what the problem is, in my life, I just was not feeling fulfilled, and I was just exhausted, and I was just, oh my gosh, it was a lot. So I needed this program.
That's so funny, Kim, because I remember we tried to get you in for October because you were on our wait list at that time. And I think it was like, I can't remember how it happened, but I know it was like the last day it had filled. And then you reached out a few days later, like, oh my gosh, is it too late? And I was like, yes, oh my God, no.
I was so sad,
I
but
know.
it worked out.
Yes, I'm so glad it worked out. And like definitely one of my bigger goals later is to be able to have more than 12 moms join each quarter. Like that would be so amazing. So yeah, I'm glad that you pointed that out because I remember that too. That makes sense. And it's so interesting because like when Balance Working Mama first started, we weren't really in the pandemic yet. But the Empower Wellness program definitely started. All of them have been during the pandemic. So that makes sense how it's like, many of us probably needed like a rejump or a restart. And I'm glad that was this for you, Joni.
For me, it was so I had listened to your podcast because another friend of mine had joined the program, and she was so enthusiastic about her process. So I listened to the podcast. Then I actually heard her on one of your interviews, and all the time during the time that I was listening to the first podcast, it just reached me in so many different ways. And I have to say, like, part of me cried because I realized how much I had been neglecting myself. And apart from neglecting myself, I kept making excuses as to why it was okay. I kept on, giving myself reasons why I couldn't come first, why everything else had to be before me, except that I reached a point where I didn't even know who I was anymore. And that's when I decided to make the move. I remember that course was also full, but Amber had she had sent me a message on Instagram, and she said I have one more spot, and she made it work for me. So that was change. It was a big change for me because I was finally able to understand why I didn't put myself first, and it gave me reasons to actually go ahead and do it and put myself first so that everybody else could function better.
And you already know I'm so proud of you because we've been talking for forever about this. And like what happened for your Christina was it was like it was full for January. And then I had a mom, unfortunately, who had to drop out because she couldn't work the scheduling. And so I reached out to Christina like, girl, we got one more spot. I know you wanted to do this. She was like, I got my card right now. Let's do it. And I was like, okay. And so we got her in super fast, last minute. But Christina, you've definitely been a amazing part of this program for sure. So thank you all for just introducing yourself a little bit. But now I want to ask you all, what did y'all even decide to work on? Of course, I know, but I think that's another question that comes up for moms who are interested in this program. They're just like, I generally know that I'm not feeling good or I want things to be different or better, but I don't know what to work on. And so I try to reassure them like, hey, we have a process to help you with that through our wellness assessment. But I think it could be helpful to know what you all worked on because I know you all worked on different things.
So I initially did the assessment. I read through it the first time by myself. And then the second time, like when I actually completed it, I was on the phone with my sister. And as I was reading it out loud, the scores that I was giving myself, she was like, Raven, you're lying. Please answer these questions truthfully. So I'm like, okay. And what I chose to work on initially was physical health. I was not drinking near enough water. I wasn't working out. My sleep was trash. I wasn't eating. And then midway through I don't even want to say midway, I want to say like the second week of the program, that changed. I realized that my mental health was way more important. Just finding out who I was. Like Christina said, I didn't know who I was outside of being a mother and a wife. I was tired of it. I didn't know what I liked to do. I just didn't I always made excuses for for not taking care of myself, and I wanted that change. So I switched midway through. I still worked on my water. I still made sure I was eating and stuff, but it wasn't my main focus. And then I gave up working out completely, because if I'm not eating right or sleeping right, drinking my water, then I couldn't work out. And I was content with that. I didn't, that pressure was lifted of feeling like, okay, I have to work out, I have to do all these things. And it was just get your mental together, start journaling, start reading, taking that time where I'm asking for help. I'm married, my husband, we live together, obviously, but making sure that he's incorporated, asking him for help, no matter how I feel he's going to have an attitude about it or if he doesn't want to do it, and just going in my room and locking myself in my room and taking time for me.
Yep. Yeah, I loved your process, Raven, of like how you decided to what you needed and how it evolved. Because we did have a lot of moms this season actually pick one thing in the beginning and then like halfway through decide like actually I need to focus on this. And so I know that you were one of them. And I remember when we realized that we were focusing on like the physical stuff of like physical health, but then it hit me like, girl, you're not sleeping. Like we gotta like make sure that you're sleeping and just all these other things. And so, that's the one thing that I really love about this program and this process is like our goals evolve throughout the process as well as we start to like become more in tune and more aware of what we need. And I think that was definitely the process for you, Raven.
Yes.
Yeah. I see you shaking your head, Kim. You want to go next?
But yes. Well, for me, what we started out working on was supposed to be self-care, and it was so broad, right? Dr. Amber helped me realize that, like, well, what is self-care to you? And unlike a lot of moms, I know what it is that I enjoy and like, or have some idea of where to start. But for me, it was just finding that time within myself to say, you know what, you deserve to pencil yourself in your schedule. So, Dr. Amber, you were wonderful with that. You were like, all right, what days, give me 3 days out the week that you're going to say from this time to this time, it's whatever it is that you want to do, that you'll do it because you already know what it is that you like to do. And it's something so simple, but it truly made a difference because anything that was at that time, it was only for me, no one else. So that was a real hard boundary that I had to set that I never thought of doing before. And that helped me because before I was like, okay, well, self care is I'm going to work out every day and do this and do that. And Dr. Amber was like, well, Kim, let's start off a little bit slower and more realistic. With your schedule, it's not going to be realistic for you to do all that. So just pick 3 days or 2 days out the week on what you can do and just block out that time. And that truly helped me so much. So I started going to my dance classes again that I loved, and I'm still going, keeping up with that. Again, like drinking water, taking naps. That was really major, and it helped me with my mood as well. And one thing too that was not something that was on our agenda was for me to find my creativity again. And so that was like a big, huge takeaway for me. And it was so emotional. I was like crying in our session. I was like, no, but it was amazing. So now I'm geared up again and finding, starting my podcast and doing creative things that I would like to do as well. So that was really and truly amazing for me. Yeah.
Yay, I love it. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I wanted to be like, and you did some creative stuff too. Um, but yeah, like I love that. And it just, as you were talking, it made me think like, of course, all of us are so different and we all need different things. And I know, Kim, for you, we have started out saying, okay, you make a plan to do dot, dot, dot in the week for yourself. But that didn't work as well. And we realized that for you, it needed to be flipped in that you know what you want to do. You just need to really put the boundaries around the time for yourself. And so instead, we started to do, hey, during these hour blocks of your week, it's not for work. It's not for your kids. It's not for your family. It's for you. Like whatever you want to do. And that was the thing. But I love how for so many of the moms, and like you said, Kim, you start doing one thing and then you realize that it starts to like branch out into all these other areas that you didn't even anticipate. And for you, it was like your creative process and moving forward with that stuff. So I love that. That's like one of my favorite parts for you. For real. All right. What about you, Joni?
So I decided to work on time management and organization um, because I just got tired of feeling scatterbrained with all of the different things that I had going on with work and things like that, and with all the different activities that my little sister was involved in. Her social calendar is way better than mine, so trying to manage that and manage all the different parts of that. After a while, it felt like I was kind of jumping just from one fire to the next, and that wears on you after a while, and you don't have anything for yourself, much less for the people around you who need you. So that was time management was the thing that I really wanted to work on, and in my wellness assessment, that was definitely a red zone. Like it was apparent that this is something that I needed to do. So Dr. Amber was really great with me, and kind of like you, Kim, I had in my mind all these big things that I needed to do to make all these major changes. And if I could do all of these things and completely restructure my day, it's going to be awesome. And Dr. Amber was kind of like, slow down, let's try smaller steps here. And we did. We started small. We started with me taking a certain time of my day and stopping to plan for the next day, even if it's just jotting a few things down so that I have my goals for the next day. Stopping at a certain point so that I can make sure that dinner's ready on time. Because if dinner goes off too late, that means bedtime is off too late and everything else is out of whack. So, doing those small steps in helping to manage my day and organize my week, those were the things that I worked on, and I was really happy with the opportunity to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Johnny. And so I sometimes I get a little nervous when I work with my moms who need help with time management and organization, because I know that's a big one that sometimes if we're not very diligent with how we work on it doesn't go as well. And so, Johnny, I'm glad that for you had a great experience with that. Because like you said, it really does require us to like slow down, like even just take a week to just look at your schedule and figure out where the problems are, like having to figure that out and just going bit by bit. So I think you did such a great job of like really working with the process and going slow with it, but also like taking the time you needed to make the changes. That was really good on your part. All right, Christina, what about you? What did you work on?
Wow, you guys, I had so much to work on. And initially for me, it was just trying to find a place where I'd be able to pick up healthy habits and implement small things. I didn't think it would impact me the way that it had. And initially, like I said, it was more about being able to find myself and my likes and my dislikes because I was totally lost. I was lost in the movement of life. And without having known who I was and where I wanted to be, I didn't even know what specifically I wanted to work on. So initially it was just working on me, myself, doing this just for myself as an individual and finally taking time for me. However, the mom guilt actually it proved to be a huge part of what my issue was and why I didn't know who I was because the guilt it it took the front seat to me and everything else was before me. Um, so that was one of the things that I learned that I really needed to focus on. And doing things that had to do more for my individual care and my own happiness. Um, it became I went from not focusing any time on myself to being able to prioritize myself, and I learned how to check in with myself. Now I can actually see ahead of time when I need to stop and hit the reset button and focus only on myself, because we get lost in it. It's like what uh Joanne said, you know, kidding, we get lost in it. So we're going from one thing to the next immediately. And I learned how to hit the pause button and take myself from being so fast and moving back and forth in between things to actually say, wait a minute, I need to do something for me. I need to make sure that I'm okay before we move on.
Absolutely. And for you, Christina, I love that you have older kids because you got them all up in the process of like letting them know like, hey, I'm about to make some changes, and so that means there's going to be some changes around here too. And the part that I really loved was that your kids were like, okay, like if they didn't, they didn't fight you on it, it wasn't a big deal. And I think for you, you had been anticipating that it was going to be such a big change for them, or that they wouldn't be able to do it. But they actually, through this process, showed you that they're more capable than what you even realized. And that was huge because it frees you up so much.
You
So,
guys, you never, we never know what a difference it makes or who's actually going to say, okay. And it wasn't a big deal. Like Dr. Amber said, I explained to them what was going on, the changes that were taking place week by week, and they were just on board. I couldn't believe it. Like, I've been stressing myself all this time, not saying anything. And the same people who are here every day were just like, yeah, cool.
oh, that was the process for so many of you all too. Like even Raven, I'm thinking about with your husband, like he was just like, yeah, I'll fill in whatever you need.
Yes, actually, this week we had a conversation, and I asked him if he could take a day and like, this is your day to do bed time, to do dinner, baths, bed, and he's like, okay, can we not make it a day? Can you just tell me when you want me to do those things, and I'll just do it? And I was like, oh, okay, I'm trying to make it more than it is, and it's not. And even my son, the oldest one, Tano, like this weekend, one of the daycare kids had a birthday party, and typically I would have like dragged everybody along. And the daycare teacher is like, I'll just drop them off. Like, well, I'll just take them, just bring them here, and I'll take them. And my anxiety, like, I don't allow people to take my kids. She's like one of the only people who I feel comfortable with. And like, I didn't know that they go on little excursions to like get pizza and stuff while they're at daycare anyway. So my husband's like, just drop him off, let him have time with just him and his friends. And he dropped them off, and I was comfortable with it. I didn't call her once to check in. And he came back and he's like, I thought you were leaving us here a little longer. We were having fun. So it was like, okay, maybe it's just me. Like Christina is saying, it's me that's overreacting when like everybody else is just like, okay.
And I think that's so real. And I just think it speaks to like society be telling us that we got to do things one way. We get pressure from like our family members or other people. And these things are just not true. Like even for me, like every now and then I'm always like, oh, I know I need to be present and do this with my family, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes my husband is like, will you just go upstairs so that we can just be in peace? Like, I know you're trying to work. Like, can you just leave? I'm like, you don't need me here? He's like, no, I got it. So it's nice to know that we have that support, but I know that for many of us, we don't realize it at first.
I wanted to add on to something that Christina said earlier. She was kind of hitting on the mom guilt part. That mom guilt part is so real, and it can be really overbearing. And if I heard you right, Christina, I think I identified with it also, that that guilt kind of gets you to a point where you feel like you can't ask for help, or that you shouldn't ask for help. And for me, my goal was time management and things like that. But part of it, I realized in the process, was also learning to set my boundaries and enforce my boundaries. And that was a small victories that I had throughout the 6 weeks, where I had to ask someone something simple, like, okay, hey, I can't stay on the phone crazy late. I've got to get to bed on time. And, they were like, okay, cool. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I'm sitting here like, why was that so hard for me to ask? And now it's that weight is off my shoulders now. And so now it's, easier. It's getting easier step by step to set boundaries and actually enforce them.
I think the mom guilt it kind of comes from a place where we are wearing all the hats, and we condition ourselves in a way apart from society. We add pressure to ourselves to get it all done, and that's where our sense of accomplishment comes in. Oh yeah, all right, I tackled it all, and without even noticing, we kind of tackle ourselves to the ground in the process.
Yes, that oh my gosh, rings so many bells. That was a big part of my process. In coming into this, I felt like I could do it all. I don't need anyone, even my husband, like you're optional. And it's not true. Like it's I can't do it all, because if I could do it all, I wouldn't feel how I'm feeling. Like, so just getting out of our own head, I think it's like the biggest thing, and being able to hold each other accountable, because Joni was in the same group that I was in, and like we had a private group chat, and just like congratulating each other along the way, like celebrating those small victories with each other, like really helps with the process.
Absolutely. And so I want to ask you all about what you enjoyed the most, but I want to speak to this one more time. Like, a lot of times people ask me, well, how are you doing it all? And I'm always like, I don't do it all. I'm not, I'm not doing it all. My husband is a huge help. He probably does more than half of the share of the stuff around here. We have support, family support. I have people to clean my home, like little things. And of course, not everybody can do all the things that, would ensure all the help. But like, I have been very intentional about whenever I can get some help, getting that help so that then I have the time to do things like this, like Balanced Working Mama, or so I have the time to work out every day. And so for me, it has definitely meant I've had to break down this idea of motherhood means you get a gold star when you can do all the things. Because I think, like Christina said, we get a lot of our validation from being able to accomplish so much, right? Like, so many of our moms were like super women, and that's what they were praised for. And even still, they're praised for, they did it all, and they could like whip up a meal with like two ingredients and just all these things. And I think we as millennial women and just women like moving beyond that, we've had to get out of that. We don't need to get all of our validation from doing all these things, and we actually can use our supports. And so that has been huge for me in my process, and I'm glad that it's trickling down to so many other moms through Balanced Working Mama, that hey, we actually can validate ourselves in different ways. We can seek encouragement in other ways. It doesn't have to be you get a gold star for not needing any support. That's not it at all. So I want to move on and ask you all though, what has been um, the part of this process that you've enjoyed the most? Because I know that I love so much of the Empower Wellness program, but I know for different people, different parts of it really resonate the most, or they enjoy a certain part the most. What has helped you the most, and or what part of it has been most enjoyable for you?
So
The
for me, oh,
Go
sorry, go
ahead,
ahead,
Kim.
Vivian.
The
So for
hardest Kim, go ahead. Okay. The hardest part for me, but the most enjoyable part, I'll say, was having to be real with myself and open with myself. A lot of the stuff that we did during our Zoom sessions were hard. They brought to the surface things that I had been trying to deny or trying to not think about. But it made me do the work, and it made me change the things that I wanted to change. So that part was probably the most enjoyable part. And then, like I said a little bit before, the accountability partners, being able to check in, and then just finding me. Like, I bought a 1,000-piece puzzle, and like my sons every now and again will come and do a piece, but like, no, this is my puzzle. I'm going to sit in my room with the door shut, and I'm going to do it. And no, you can't help. But and so it's just finding me. And then just getting to a clear headspace. Like when I first started the program, there was like a dark cloud that I had over me. Just I was in a very hazy place, and I didn't recognize that other people could see it. But then like towards the end of it, that cloud had been lifted. Like I was more clear minded. I could think straight. I wasn't always like my wheels weren't always turning in my head. I was able to just be at peace with certain things.
Absolutely. Now your turn, Kim.
So for me, it's two things. So the group sessions for me was always validating. And I don't know if it was the ladies that I had in my group, but I felt like I saw myself in each one of them. And so the validating of what I was feeling was the best part, because outside of this group, I was not validated. It kind of seems like it was in my mind. Like, you should be doing all, you should be able to cook, clean, be a great mom, and having, daily planning activities and be a full career woman. I was running ragged, y'all, ragged. I was just exhausted all the time. And so with the group sessions, everyone had their own experiences and were able to help you see it in a different way, to help you kind of navigate and be like, you know what, this is okay. I'll try it again. And the same thing, like Raven was saying in the group chats, off our sessions, was always so funny, so hilarious. I felt like I have a sisterhood and a village of moms who are like-minded like me, who have the same goals. So it's not hard explaining how I feel about it. And like you said, the newfound inspiration for me, that's the second part that I don't think I could, it's like I can't put a money or like a range on it. That was just amazing.
I would chime in and say definitely the group sessions. I agree with Kim that the group sessions were there was so much to be gained from them. Um, when I saw the question, what do you enjoy most about the process? Uh, for me, it was the fact that I could. There was so much that I gained, not just from working on my goals, but from seeing the other women in my group also working on their goals. Um, every week I had a page of notes of things that that I need to think about and ponder over, even if that wasn't my primary goal for the program. There was just so much that I learned from them, and much like him, and I'm sure with the rest of you also, like it meant a lot to feel seen, just to know that okay, it's not just me. Um, there's all these other mamas that are also finding ways to be better for themselves and be better for their families and things like that. So the group sessions were definitely the biggest thing for me, and the group chats, because that helped us at times. It helped us reinforce things that were in the group sessions, or if you missed something, there was someone else that caught it. So we've been able to keep it going and everything, and those have been the best parts for me.
For me, it was every week it was something different. Each time that we got together, every week I was able to pick up something. And at some degree, at some point, I realized, like you guys, wow, I'm not the only one. This is a place where we can come together and identify with each other. And, it was like a sisterhood, or some place that we could fellowship about the kind of things that press us in life, and how to overcome them. One of my hardest realizations was going through each week, each different assignment, and remembering that it was about just me. So for the first 3 weeks, I struggled, because I knew that I was doing something and it had to do with me, in a sense, finding myself. Um, but part of me also struggled with it being just about me, because it's never been that way. So to focus on yourself and talk about yourself is one of the things that I struggled most with. However, once I was able to sit down and say, okay, this is how things are going to be, and this is the reason why. We usually don't uh, find it okay, but we do it often, more often than we were comfortable doing it. And it's explaining ourselves. So I got so used to explaining myself to the outside world that I realized all I needed to do was understand. And because my children are bigger, explain it to them. No one else needed to understand anymore. And that for me was a big part of my transition. My boundaries were set, and I became like a 2-year-old. I said this to you, Dr. Amber. I can say no now. I can say no freely and not feel bad because I'm finally at a place where I'm saying yes to me. And saying yes to everybody else, it always meant saying no to me. Now I can say no freely and not feel bad about it because I know it's for my own health.
Absolutely. I love that. And as soon as you said that, I thought about my son because he's saying no to everything now. He's like, no, no. He'll like push it away, like, no. And I'm like, the thing, it just hit me. I think when we allow ourselves to say no, then we also can be more compassionate. And this is not what this episode is about, but I am able to be more compassionate with my child when he says no, because it's like, okay, there's nothing wrong with saying no. It's important to be able to say no. I'm glad he can say no. And it's like, okay, I need to take a lesson from him. It's okay to say no. Because Christina, like you said, when you're always saying yes to everybody else, you're saying no to yourself. But our kids, especially those of us who have toddlers, they have no problem telling us no. And so we need to take a lesson from them that no is okay. No is a complete sentence. No doesn't have to always hurt feelings. And if it does, you have to remind yourself that this no is for you, right? So, oh, yes. So I have two more questions for you all, but I'm going to round them up into one. And so I want to hear from each one of you. One, how are you doing now that you are out of the program, about to graduate? But then also, what would you say to a mom who might be listening to this or who maybe has heard about the program and still might be hesitant as far as whether she should join or not?
I'm going to start. um, because I said no to myself so often and I was so reluctant to invest time for myself, um, take the time. Take the time for yourself. Because we find ways to make everything else work, find a way to make it work so that you have the time to give yourself. It will inspire you to take care of yourself and it makes the other things around you flow so easily. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Um, you know, Oftentimes we have to take it on by ourselves. And, having a place to be able to come together and speak to other women who can resonate with our situations, who can identify with what we're going through, give that to yourself. Give yourself the opportunity to fellowship with other women, because it's hard to do. For some reason, society has us split in so many different directions that we don't often take time for ourselves, let alone each other. And this gives us a place to be able to identify that there are definitely some positive things that can come from saying yes to ourselves.
I'll go next. As far as things for me now, I'm continuing to work on the small steps that we've made in the changes that we made through the program. It really gave me an opportunity to let myself try the small steps and not feel like I have to make these big heroic changes, to actually see improvement in my space and in my world around me. Um, as far as now, one of the benefits of the program was, even though I came in with the goal of working on time management and organization, it that gave me the clarity, and because I was less stressed about keeping everything together, now that gives me a chance to work on the area that was the next most urgent area, which was for me career satisfaction. Now it gives me the room to be able to like really take a look at my career path and decide where I want to go next. What do I want for me? And it gives you that opportunity to focus on yourself. Um, so if you're a mama who is looking for that reset, or really if you're just looking to improve yourself in a space with other mamas without the judgment, without the mom guilt, where you can like really talk about those things without fear and without shame, um, you deserve to do that. You deserve to have that opportunity and have that space to do that. So that's what I would say to a mama who might be considering the program. That's something that you won't regret doing for yourself.
Thank you, Johnny.
Currently, I am doing better. I'm still drinking my water. We actually ran out of our 5-gallon water, so I went out and bought 2 cases. So I had no reasons why I won't be drinking my water. Um, I'm eating more, being conscious of what it is that I'm eating. Still holding my boundaries. So we touched on sleep a little bit. My oldest, Tano, he has been sleeping in his bed, at least starting in his bed every night. He only ends up in our bed maybe 2 to 3 nights out the week, so that's a plus. I'm still weaning. Parker is the baby. He has been doing better with accepting no during the day. And he'll argue with me back and forth a little bit, but then he's like, okay, whatever, and like go on and do something else. So that's going well. And then just still taking that time out for myself. Yesterday I went and got in the bath at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My husband looked at me and was like, it's 3 o'clock. Why are you getting in the bath? I'm like, because I need to decompress. So I'm going to go get in the bath. And that was it. Like, it was no questions asked about it. And then I laid in the room with the door shut for a while, and I felt good afterwards. And then I got up and was able to tend to the kids and do all the other things. I would tell a mom who's considering it to just do it. Take that investment in yourself, just like you would invest in your family or others. It's worth it. I was one of those mamas who was concerned about it and was like, do I really want to spend, or can I really spend this much money on me and not feel guilty about it? I want to say the guilt lasted a week, and then I was like, yeah, I don't care about it anymore. I need it. I'm going to do it. So just take that leap and do it. My mug today actually says small steps every day. And that's the first small step that you can take to investing in you.
Love it. Small steps every day. Yes. Go ahead, Kim.
For me, I'm doing good. I'm starting up all my creative processes. I'm excited. I'm inspired, the most inspired that I've been in a very long time. And it's so funny because me changing, I see the change amongst my family and how I interact and how my moods are when I'm around my family. And if you're a mom who wants to join this program or on the fence, I just think if you're working and you're a mom, you need this program. I'm of the mindset that we're always evolving and there's always something to work on. And so the assessment that I had in the beginning, it's not the same assessment that I have now. I've improved, but it's still other things that I can continue working on. So make that commitment to yourself because you do deserve it. And anything that I know about Dr. Amber in the group is that the cost of it, I don't think that it in any kind of way is close to what you're going to be getting out of it. It's so much more. It truly is.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Thank you, everybody, for you all coming and sharing your experience with us. Because again, you did not have to do this, but I'm so grateful for you to just come on the podcast and talk about your experience and encourage other moms to join us. So, thank you so much. Anything else anybody else wants to say before we end this podcast episode?
Just want to say thank you, Dr. Amber. You have been amazing. And it's not easy to pour into other women when you have your own situation going on. But just know that through your podcast and through all of this, you are inspiring so many women. And it's going to trickle down to our family as well. So, like if you have girls, I don't have girls, but still I'm teaching my boys, things for themselves too, because there are people in person, so they also need self-care and know how to do things. So I just want to thank you. That's all.
You're so welcome. Absolutely. No, yeah, this is like a joy for me. I know I say it all the time, but this is a pleasure. So it's been a pleasure working with you ladies. Thank you again for being on the podcast. Hey mama, I want to quickly tell you about the Empower Wellness Program. This is a dynamic 6-week group for working mothers who are tired of feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, burdened by mom guilt, but then also just not having enough time for themselves. This program takes all of that and transforms it into more wellness, more time for yourself, better priorities, community with other mothers, but then overall balance in your work, motherhood, and wellness. To learn more about the Empower Wellness Program, head over to balanceworkingmama.com. There you can find when the next program begins, what to expect, but then also how to sign up. Hope to see you in the next group. All right, mamas, I truly hope that you enjoyed listening to some of my Empower Wellness mamas talk about the Empower Wellness program. I just have to say, we have done so much with Balanced Working Mama. Y'all know that we just had our first birthday, and, just looking back and thinking through the growth and the transitions and the evolutions, and still to this day, Empower Wellness program is probably the best thing that's happened to Balanced Working Mama. The Empower Wellness program, as you have heard from the mamas, has really been the thing to help so many mamas make the time for themselves. I think they all share in the experience of feeling like, well, before they didn't have time. A lot of mamas say, I don't have time for something like this, or now it's not the right time. But the reality is that we may never have the time. There may never be an ideal time. There may never be a perfect time. And so we don't want to wait on our wellness. We don't want to wait until it's too late. We want to take the time for us now. And what it means is that you have to make the decision to truly, truly, truly believe that your wellness needs to take priority right now. And so what that means for the Empower Wellness mamas is they decided that, hey, I can make 1.5 hours a week for myself for 6 weeks to make this happen. And they all have been more than pleased with that experience. And now moving on to make even more time for themselves. And it's amazing to hear. I think another issue that comes up a lot is cost. A lot of mamas say, well, it's not in my budget right now. I don't know if I have the finances for that. And I think that was addressed in this podcast episode today. What I have known and seen with some of the mamas that I work with is that it's less about the cost of these things and more about the discomfort with spending time, money, effort for ourselves. Because the truth is, many of us, might go on to spend that same amount for our kids and not even bat an eye. But when it comes to us, and making the decision to spend money for us, to take extra time for us, to put in extra effort just for us, not our kids, not our spouses, not our family, no one else, just us. That feels uncomfortable. It feels wrong. It brings up guilt. And what we have to do is make a decision to move beyond that so that we can experience what the Empower Wellness Mamas experience, which is more freedom, which is more wellness, which is more growth, which is more time for yourself, which is more clarity, more balance, more, so many things, right? They talked about these things. And so, what I want you to know in our final Balanced Working Mama reflection for this season is that this is for you. This can help you. This is probably something that you need. If you're listening to this podcast episode and you're thinking, I need this. I want this. I've been wanting to tap into that community. I know I haven't been feeling right, but I want to. Then join us because the good thing is that we have our next program coming up in July and I cannot wait for it. So, what I want to tell you is that I have made the decision to open up the registration for the July program. And so if you are listening today and you know that you want to join us for July, and you know you are tired of feeling how you feel, and you know you want to feel better, and you know this program can help you, go to www.balancedworkingmama.com. You will see information for the Empower Wellness program. Click that, and there you are. Click the link to sign up, and then you'll be able to join us for our July program. I'm opening this now because I don't want y'all to wait. I don't think that's helpful. I want you to do it now because I know that it's on your mind and I know that you want to join us. So I look forward to working with another 12 mamas for our July season. Can't wait to see you all there. Of course, if you have any questions about the Empower Wellness program, please ask me. You can email me at hello@dramberthornton.com. You can reach out to me on Instagram via DM, whatever y'all need to do. Y'all know where to find me. So reach out to me. Don't worry about if I'm busy or if I can't get to it. Just reach out to me and I will find a way to make sure that somebody with the information can reach out to you. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions about the Empower Wellness Program. But I hope that you will, again, go to balancedworkingmama.com, find the information for Empower Wellness Program, and join us. All right, mamas, it's been a pleasure to talk with you all season long. Please stay tuned because we will be back on Monday, April 5th with season 4. So, with that, enjoy the rest of your week. Don't forget to share this podcast with another mama you know and love, and we'll talk to y'all later. Hey mama, thank you for listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.